Welcome to another episode of Breaking Business Barriers. Have a super special guest to bring on today. He's got his cowboy hat on. I think you'll find him not only full of wisdom, if I could speak clearly, but also pretty lighthearted. I've known the gentleman for quite some time, and I consider him a very close friend and one heck of an entrepreneur. Before we get started, JW, let's get some shout outs to our sponsors, Open Media Source, Expanse Financial Group, along with our friends over at American Option Insurance. So as I mentioned, gentleman has joined us. His name is JW Shutt. That's Shutt. Before we let you know where you can find him out in the wide world of Google, he'll share that. In fact, how to get in touch with him and how to find him. JW has a long history of being an entrepreneur, grew up in an entrepreneurial family, and he'll share some of that with us, I'm sure. But he has a BS in animal science, Shutt and Company, manufacturing and real estate. President, 17 years. All right, there's a first little tidbit. He's been a mortgage broker, commercial, agricultural loans, and even did some residential business. Today, he's with the Shutt Land Company. He practices limited to ranch and farms. So in other words, he is eyeing his passion, and that's the agribusiness and especially the ranch. Very knowledgeable, but ask JW to join us. He's obviously that many years as an entrepreneur. There's plenty that he can share with us that are just, eye-opening, jaw-dropping, and we always try to pass along the good, bad, and the otherwise of being an entrepreneur or just in business in general, no matter what profession. But JW, how about where can we find you first? We'll go there, and then before we finish up, we'll make sure we let people know where they can find you.
Okay. The brokerage that I'm with is Ectol Nelson Real Estate, based out of Abilene and Stanford, Texas. You can find me at ectolnelsonrealestate.net, and my direct line is 254-968-4712. I'm based in a little town called Morgan Mill. I'm about 70 miles southwest of the Metroplex. So we work 6 days a week. We start to answer the phone about 7 in the morning. We quit about 6 o'clock at night, and we don't work on Sundays. We observe the Sabbath.
That, and you may attend some sort of cowboy event, whether it's a rodeo or something else occasionally on a Sunday.
Yeah, we do. We slip off. I've been involved with cutting horses since the mid-'60s. So every now and then we'll slip off and go to one of the bigger cuttings.
Now, a few of our folks listening, JW, probably don't know, or the majority don't know what a cutting horse actually does. Why are they called cutting horse?
It's a competition. They have a herd of cattle, and you guide the horse into the herd, select a cow out, and keep him away from the herd. The competition lasts 2.5 minutes, and you're required to work at least 2 head of cattle.
So out on the ranch, they're pretty darn useful when it comes to cattle drives and changing pastures and all that stuff, right?
That's where it all derived from. It started on the ranch, and then it's just become a huge equine industry.
Yeah, of which you've been involved with for years and traded some horses and involved in some training and what have you. And for those of us that are cowboy fans, and I'm not talking Dallas Cowboys, sorry, cowboy fans, but I'm talking about movies that involve good old fashioned cowboys. You probably have seen them. If you've ever watched a cowboy type show, you probably have seen them at work and didn't know they were cutting horses.
Yeah.
Hey, so why don't you draw us back to your years on the East Coast? I'll let you talk a little bit about that, and then how in the living Lord did you get to Texas? But why don't we go back? I know you were involved in a family business, but why don't you touch on that?
Yeah, we had a manufacturing business, and we had a real estate division. And when I came out of college, I was showing horses professionally. That's how I made my living. And I had a bunch of good clients. Shown from Canada to Florida, Kansas City, a couple trips to the Cow Palace. And my father had a very serious heart attack. And I got the call. Of course, I went home, and he asked me, he said, I know it's going to be tough, but he says, could you look after things until I get the feeling better? And 24 years and 10 months, I sold it. I did, the real estate entity when I came in was 100% residential rentals. And Brandon, I don't remember how long it took, whether it was 12 years, 14 years, or 16 years, but I traded all those residential properties off for agricultural production ground. The bulk of it was hay crops. We had 5 horse racing tracks within about 150, 200 miles of us. So that was our target market for the hay crop. I didn't grow the hay or harvest it. I farmed all that out, and I still have some ground today that the great grandkids are farming it. So pretty neat deal. And I was coming back and forth here probably for better than 60 years. I'd come down for some of the bigger cuttings that they have up at Will Rogers in Fort Worth. And so I was real familiar. I had horses down here in training. So I'd probably be down here at least 3-4 times a year. And we have one daughter. And when it came time for her to go to college, she chose TCU. And she graduated. She's a financial analyst. And she came home for Christmas break. I think it was her sophomore year. And she said, Daddy, I'm never planning on moving back north again. She said, I'll come visit, but I'm not coming back. And my wife looked at me and she said, I guess the farm's for sale. I said, absolutely. And we settled down here. We had some horses down here in training. We had one at De Leon. We had one over here at Bluffdale. We had one up in Oklahoma. And we found this little place commuting back and forth between the trainers. And so we picked Morgan Mill. And we're about 15 miles off of I-20. So we have good access to get around because as you can imagine, in my ranch sales, I spend a lot of time behind the windshield.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of miles on. So we're very comfortable here. We're not going anyplace else. This is our home now. So anyway.
Well, life happens certainly, and family is, I know, a very strong point, as in for you and your bride and the rest of the family. And is there a particular fork in the road, and maybe you've already talked about it, in your career that you're either going to go down the left turn or the right turn, but going straight was right into that oak tree? Was there a fork in the road that comes to mind?
Yeah, selling that manufacturing business was definitely a fork. I tried for about 3 years to sell it as an entirety, and I'd either get somebody in that had the money but they didn't want to do the work. I worked about 90 hours a week in that business, about 11 months a year. We used to take January off. And I got the brainstorm one night, we'll break it up. And that's what I did. And I think I had 9 different buyers, okay? And it worked. So that definitely was the fork in the road, because I think the real eye-opener for me is you get up one morning and you don't have a job.
Mm-hmm.
And And I had some horses to ride, but you know, as far as and that's when I got involved in the mortgage business, and then when we came down here, I did a lot more agricultural mortgages. I've got a pretty good portfolio of ag lenders. They understand the game. They understand the ranch or the farm. We don't have to reinvent a wheel with them. Rates are always good. So that led me to get my real estate license for down here. Back north, I never needed it because I was always selling our stuff, my family stuff. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I got into the farm and ranch sales. I don't do any residential. And the only commercial I would look at is if it was something ag oriented, you know, be a feed yard or tractor dealer or something like that. But for the most part, we're straight ranch company. We like to say that we sell investment grade ranches. We try to sell the trophies, if I can say that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very particular what we list. There's diamonds in the rough, but then there's some that the pain isn't worth the gain. So I much more gravitate to representing buyers. Okay, that we've like working with ranchers, of course.
Right.
We work with some wealth managers. We work with some family office directors, some private bankers, and most of all, land investors. And I think the land investor, and you and I have talked about this before, I think the land investor is probably one of the most sophisticated investors out there. All right? If he does his homework and does it right and has a system maybe in place, or maybe we can help him implement a better system, it can be a very rewarding venture. There's only so much land, and it just, for case in point, in Texas last year, and this comes straight out of A&M, is we had a 5.5% appreciation rate across the whole state of Texas for 2019. And if you take in that, you know, we're seeing places in Wise County and Parker County that we're in the $20,000 an acre category on some of those properties. And then we go out to far west Texas and we're still ground out there for $850 an acre. So I think if you take that average, that's a pretty good return. I think the other thing is it's one of the safest places you can park your money. You know, there's very little that can harm it. I think the most tragic one, and we see it, is fire. Okay, but you certainly know enough that when that ground comes back with all that new organic matter in there, it's very fertile, very, very fertile. So we don't wish for that, and certainly take precautions to avoid it, but it's there, and that's how we do business is we like to tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. We want our buyers to be informed. We don't want to have any aha moments. So,
sure. And JW, you do business outside of Texas as well, correct?
That's correct. That's correct. I do a lot of what they call silent market transactions. These are ranches that are up for sale, but you don't find them on, certainly not on the multi-list. You don't find them on Lands of Texas or lands.com. I work with about a dozen other brokers who specialize in silent market or private market transactions. So we've got a pretty good network in place. And case in point, we have a mortgage deal working right now in Montana. We have a pretty good sized ranch deal working, a 10,000 acre ranch in northern Oklahoma. And now we are licensed in Oklahoma as well as Texas through ECLOS. So yeah, in the past 2 years, I've entertained a lot of California buyers. Their biggest concern as a whole is they're very concerned about the water situation in California. And we bring them in here and show them a place up on the Red River or down in McCullough County, and we got the Colorado River, 5 miles of it or something like that. They just go crazy. They're not used to that deal. So,
well, you work in the backbone, in my opinion, you work in the backbone of the United States. Farm and ranch. It's not going away anytime soon, thank goodness. Probably more important throughout the world than most people understand, not just the United States, but throughout the world. And that's tip of the cap to you and working inside the business that you love the most. And there's no doubt about it. It's would you say relationship is king in your business?
Yes. Yes. We, when we do a site visit, okay, this is a lot different than selling a house, okay? That one ranch that I just told you about in Oklahoma, we need at least 2 days to see it, 2 full days. And there's no way that I can become familiar with that ranch in a week. So we engaged the farm manager to accompany us on the site visits. He knows all the nuances of that property, and we want him to fill our client in as to the good, the bad, and the ugly, you know. And a lot of times our buyers will retain that gentleman or lady for their employment. And I'm okay with that. But we also have another avenue that we've got some fantastic ranch management programs going on right here in the state of Texas. One of my favorites is TCU, Saul Ross. They both have ranch manager degrees that they offer. And these kids are coming out with the latest technology, techniques, just this computer age, that they're well versed in that. There's programs out there now that you can put a steer on the scale, and it can come up to tell you when he was inoculated, when he needs to be inoculated again, what he weighed, just the whole background, just for putting the steer on the scale. And the computer's hooked up, and he's got an ear tag or chip, just reads it right off. And it's just fascinating to me that we've come that far. And then you get to talking to some of these young fellows, and they tell me we're not done. There's more, you know.
Yeah, the science and technology is practically limitless. And you think about JW in all businesses, regardless of the business, but a lot of people would not understand the amount of technology and science that's involved in farming and ranching. It's amazing.
Yeah, the GPS stuff with planting and harvesting and even, you know, I know there's a lot of controversy about this, but the genetically modified stuff, we have less ground to work with than we ever had. So we have to do something to improve production. And there's your answer, you know. I think the people who are against it don't understand it.
Well, they definitely don't. And there's more people to feed.
Yeah.
And you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't in the reality of the bigger picture of things. Well, JW, before we move on, again, I just take we're here at the point where, again, I just want to remind everyone, thanking our sponsors, Open Media Source, Expanse Financial Group, as well as our buddies over at American Option Insurance. And JW, would you mind just reminding everyone listening where they can find you the easiest?
The easiest is to pick up the phone, 254-968-4712. And like I said, we work 6 days a week. You have to appreciate, Brent, and I know you're aware of this, that a number of times throughout the week we get in an area that we just don't have any cell phone reception. And in that case, as soon as we get back and get on the road and can get some reception, we'll call you back. It's that simple.
Yeah, that's right. The wide open range of Texas doesn't always have that immediate cell tower when you're out on a 10,000 acre ranch and you're doing your thing with whomever you may be doing it with. But that's great. I always like to throw in a little bit of humor. You know, you've got stories that remember things from all the years. Is there a story that you would care to share that maybe it was you're looking at a piece of property or something that just comes to mind that would make us chuckle? I know I've probably heard one or two of them, but maybe one comes to mind.
I've got one that's pretty unique. The ranch was located out in Fisher County, Trent, Texas, which is going to be a little bit northwest of Abilene. And pretty good size. It was a game ranch, high fenced, beautiful herd of whitetails in there, all just strictly whitetails. The ranch had like 3 different camps that could accommodate a group of hunters. And the neat thing was you couldn't see from one camp to the other. So you thought you were on this 7,000 acre ranch all by yourself. It's really neat. And they had the foreman was really, really great guy. And I got a call from a wealth manager in Dallas. And he said, I'd talked to him a couple of times before about different clients. And he said, I've got a young fella that he thinks he wants to buy a game ranch. And it's okay. I said, well, I told him about the one at Trent. And he said, I'll run it past him. We had a video. We always, for the most part, always had videos. And sent him the video. Spoke to the fellow, and he was young. He was right around 30. And anyway, he said, well, I'd like to see it. And I found out from the wealth manager that, again, this is technology. He sold something in the technology field. I don't have a clue what it was. But he thought he wanted to invest in a ranch, in a game ranch. So I spoke to him about doing a site visit, and I said that I would meet him in Abilene and he'd drive up to the ranch. No, I said, just give me the address. He said, I can find it. It's okay. So it was on Saturday, and I driven out there, and I was with the ranch manager, and he was supposed to be there around 10 o'clock. This ranch was situated probably about 3-4 miles off Blacktop. It was on a CR dirt road. So we decided to go down to the gate and wait for him. We're sitting there on the tailgate, and you could see the cloud of dust coming. You know? And I said to Lindsay, the ranch manager, I said, I bet you this is him, because you don't get a lot of traffic out there. And anyway, we're sitting there, and next thing you know, he pulls up, and he's in a black Porsche Boxster with the top down.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. And I guess I should preface this so everybody will understand this. Trent, Texas is snake country. They're proud of their snakes, and they're big.
As in rattlesnakes, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a multitude of others, but the rattlers they're there. Anyway, this fella gets out of the car, He's got on a pair of flip-flops, a pair of Madras shorts, and an Oxford shirt with the sleeves rolled up. No ball cap, no socks, no nothing. We're sitting there with snake boots on.
Which go well up to your hip in some cases, right? At least up to the knees.
About to your knees. And so we took him around, and he had some good questions that he did and that kind of stuff. And he said, I need to think about this a little bit. Hey, take all the time you need. If you have questions, don't be afraid to call either one of us. And he did call us a couple times. He was very excited to hear that herd was a depreciable asset. That excited him, because we had probably somewhere around 450 whitetails, maybe even closer to 500 running around there. As long as they're breeding age, they're depreciable. Hey, long story short, he bought the ranch, retained the manager, and I don't remember. It was somewhere after 2 years, maybe 2.5 years. Manager called me up and he said he sold the ranch. I said, he sold it? He said, yeah. He says, I got a new boss, And I said, well, I certainly would have listed it for him. He said he sold it himself. And here, to the ranch managers, he sold it to a woman. And the ranch manager, he's pretty diehard cowboy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he ever worked for a woman before. So, but they're still out there and they're doing good. But yeah, that has to be one of the beauties.
Yeah, I can imagine that Porsche going down a dirt road. The guy maybe has never been down a dirt road. Certainly, if he ever had been, he could at least rented a truck of some sort, you would think. But
well, we would have picked him up.
Yeah, right. Well, pride is runs through the blood, and he was probably pretty darn proud that he found it. And luckily, you guys were there to hold his hand a little bit. He didn't walk out in the out there and
we kept pretty close track of him.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Putting it in the middle.
Yeah, right. And you guys probably had your side holsters ready to go in case something was about ready to jump out. Well, JW, you represent farmers, ranchers. Again, I truly believe the backbone of the United States, and you do so with a great deal of integrity. And that's just who you are, and you do some fine work out there. And it's been a pleasure. I've been waiting to be able to get you on. It's certainly goes right along the lines of breaking business barriers. You have a life story to tell, and we have a wide variety of people who listen to this. And I was thinking not only the Texans and the Oklahomans and the farmers in general in the United States, the American dream from across the globe is come to the United States. And I don't think there's a better representation than you when it comes to farmers and ranchers, my friend.
Thank you. We've had customers from New Zealand, and we've had a customer from Turkey. So it's a global thing now, and we actually don't have any kind of contract with them yet or not, but it's been about a month now, we have formed a relationship with an investment group out of Dubai, and they've has some serious capital to deploy.
Yes, they do, and we've been listened to in over now 34 countries, I believe, and we have listeners in Dubai. That I know.
Yeah, and I one other thing I'd like to touch on, Brandon, if I could, it's we don't leave our clients at the settlement table. They have things that come up 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road, whatever it is, and we're more than willing to help them solve that problem. We've got a great team of consultants in place, right? Case in point, water rights. You've got a ranch 3 years down the road, the county has a water master, and all of a sudden he's saying you're pulling too much water, okay? We have an attorney who his whole practice is water. And we're going to turn the client on to them. We don't want anything from the client. We don't want anything from the consultant. What we do expect from the consultant is if he hears a big ranch coming up for sale, we'd sure like to get a call, okay? But, and the other thing that we've done that I think is again, a little bit different than the average ranch brokerage is we've come up with about 11 different revenue streams that a ranch is capable of producing. Now, you're never going to get a ranch that's got 11, okay? But I have sold a couple that we've put into 5 revenue streams coming off the ranch. So instead of depleting our client's bank account, we're trying to enhance it between income, depreciation, and appreciation. So I think that's something that might set us apart a little bit from the rest of the competition.
It does. It's like being a good doctor, right? You just don't go in and doctor that person right then and there. Then you wash your hands of it. It's a continual process, and I've seen you in action with that. And in my opinion, it does separate. It's just not a transaction. That's a client. It's a relationship for life. You go deep. You learn their dog's name. You learn the kids. You know all of those things, and that's
we get invited to barbecues, weddings,
yeah,
family reunions.
Talking my language with barbecue. That's for sure. Well, JW, we're going to wrap it up here. Okay. Everyone, it is JW Shutt, SHUTT, and JW, I want to remind everyone your phone number because that is the one best way to get in touch with you.
Yes, 254-968-4712.
And if you just want to have a conversation with JW in that southern drawl of his, it'll make your day, and you'd probably make his day as well. JW, on behalf of Breaking Business Barriers, we've done a lot of shows, and this one is near and dear to me, given my background and born and raised on a farm, and I thought, what better way for our listeners to really hear a cowboy and what it's about. And again, you can find JW easiest. Hopefully you jotted that number down. But on the behalf of JW and myself, Breaking Business Barriers, this is your host, Brent Duhame. Onward and upward.
Ride for the brand.
There we go. There we go.
Cool.
How about that?
Yeah. Was it okay?
Yeah, just a second. I'm gonna have to cut off this end. It didn't shut off, but I'll edit.